We're preparing to live stream. And I will let you know when the preparation is complete.
Okay,
Mhm.
then I can officially call it to order.
Yes. I'm watching the bar.
Okay,
Done.
done. All right. Well, we called the meeting to order and now we're going to head to roll call. Done. All right. Well, we called the meeting to order.
All right, there's our 5-second delay.
You can just close that.
Just close the whole thing. here. Okay. Lindsay, you may proceed.
I'm just waiting for your roll call.
Okay.
Or do you want me to roll call?
No, I will do the
Okay.
roll call. Chairperson Dolman.
Yes.
Vice Chair Shaheen Shakar, still not here. Commissioner Adele is not present. Commissioner Jones, not present. Commissioner Donovan,
Present.
Commissioner Canuli. Commissioner Lant is not here. Commissioner Livy. Yeah, Kyle was planning to attend, but he's ill this evening. Commissioner Westfall.
Present.
Commissioner Kumari.
Present.
Brand new for the first time. Commissioner Winters.
Present.
Okay.
All right. Excellent. The next item on the agenda is public comment. Members of the public may speak on any item not on the agenda, but within the commission's scope during this public comment section of the meeting. Zach, did we receive any public comment prior to the meeting?
We did not.
Okay, so seeing no one in the room, we will close public comment and move on. The next item on the agenda is approving the minutes for the meetings for both October 24th and November 21st. And so if anybody has any updates or corrections, I didn't get a chance to look at them entirely, but when I did a quick glance, they look good. I know.
To see if this is So I have spoke with the art teacher in Pleasant Hill Elementary School, and she said that can we move it to the February first week because she didn't have the enough stock and enough collection for the paintings. So we are going
Commissioner
to.
Kumari, you know what? That agenda item is going to be agenda number 8, update on student public
Okay.
art display at City Hall.
Got it.
We'll
So
get
we're
there
just-
soon enough.
Yeah, yes, thank you. So yeah, we're just approving the minutes. Does anybody want to motion to approve the minutes or do we want another minute to review the minutes?
I can motion to approve.
Second, all right. All those in favor say aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. The meeting minutes have been approved. And we'll move on to our next item agenda. Our agenda item is introduction of our new commissioner, Kayla Winters. Welcome.
Thank you. Do you want me to say something?
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome. Please introduce yourself. Why'd you come on board? What are you looking forward to? I see a different name on your name
Yes,
tag.
we're gonna go with Kayla DeSaling.
Okay.
So we'll get,
Tell us
we
more.
can fix that
Yeah.
up. Hi, everyone. My name is Kayla DeSaling, walking, crawling DeSaling, just so you can pronounce it correctly. I'm happy to be here. I moved into Pleasant Hill, about a year and a half ago. Taught my years in DC, so 10 years teaching in DC, both in charter and in public schools. Now I work here, working for an education tech company, supporting educators all around the Bay Area, so to implement curriculum. Why did I choose to come on board with the Education Commission? Going into schools all the time, I know how much they need someone extra and how I just want to be able to support in any way that I can. So I wanted to become more involved with Pleasant Hill as I become, as I learn the area. And yeah, I'm excited to be here and see what y'all are doing. So thank you for having me, and I'm excited to start this journey. I have a 2-year-old, yes.
Do you know what your local school is?
Strandwood,
Oh, nice.
yes.
I do,
yes,
Amazing.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. So my name is Ryan McLean. I'm the city's transportation manager and the staff liaison to the Traffic Safety Commission. And prior to me coming to work for the city, I was the chair of the Traffic Safety Commission and was on the commission for 5 years or so. And I
didn't know that.
yes. And I have kids right now at Pleasant Hill Elementary, Pleasant Hill Middle, and College Park. So I prepared a presentation. There's a few slides, but I'm going to not try to spend too much time on each slide, but happy to expand if I don't explain any of them, or if you have any questions on any of the elements. What I'm going to try and do is just kind of give you an overview of what the commission does and some of the things that we've done over the past year and things that we have coming up, and as all of that relates to the schools in the city. So the Traffic Safety Commission is, a lot of what we do is review requests that come into the city. And around schools, it's a lot of red curb, I will say, and wanting people, and a lot of residents not wanting people parked in front of their house and blocking their driveways and that sort of thing. So to be honest, that's a lot of what we hear from around the schools, but also general safety around the schools as well, because there's a lot of concern about, especially driver behavior right near the schools. The commission also reviews the capital improvement program when that comes forward. This is one step on the review of all the money that's going to get spent on capital improvements over a 2-year period. So one of the steps in the approval process of that is stopping by the Traffic Safety Commission. We also review project plans that come out of that. So a lot of the projects that you've probably seen, like the speed humps around the schools, that all went through the Traffic Safety Commission for review. Reviews safety plans. So we actually have a local road safety plan and then another safety plan that we need to work on coming up. And so that's citywide safety. And then the bicycle and pedestrian master plans and anything related to bicycle and pedestrian as well. I think the last time I was here, maybe 6 months ago, I presented on the bicycle and pedestrian master plan that just was adopted in January by the city council. So I wanted to give sort of a background on where the city is heading in terms of traffic safety. And this in the transportation world is kind of the evolution of safety around roadways. And it's called the Safe System Approach. If you have heard of Vision Zero, then this is kind of the next iteration of that. So Vision Zero is the idea that no deaths or severe injuries are acceptable. And so your aim when you're designing roads and everything is to work towards zero. So that's Vision Zero. This is the next step of that, which is that the transportation system is really everybody's shared responsibility for safety. And that includes the engineers who are designing the road. And so more focus needs, or the priority should always be safety. And then everything else is kind of secondary, other priorities. It used to be more improving capacity of an intersection to get as many cars through was the priority, and safety was not necessarily the top priority. So that's kind of flipping that around. Also recognizes that
Are we pretty
vehicle,
close to the zero goal, or we still have some work to do?
we have some work to do. Yep. And at both the county level and the Bay Area level and the state level, Vision Zero is kind of where we're headed. And then the other main focus of that is that speed is the main contributor to fatal and severe injuries. So speed is one of the most important things to address. And so this is showing that as that vehicle speed increases, then the likelihood that in this example, a pedestrian survives that crash is an exponential drop off as that speed increases. And the graphic on the right there kind of shows how a driver's focus really gets narrowed down to far down in front of them as they drive faster and isn't seeing necessarily the pedestrians and bicyclists near them. So speed is a critical component of that. Vehicle size is also a major component of that, and that's also led to a lot more fatalities and severe injuries as the vehicle size has increased as well. So that's kind of all the projects I'm going to talk about are kind of focused on the speed aspect of this, as well as one of the things that we discussed at the Traffic Safety Commission is legislation that comes out around this. So there's been several things recently that have come out around speed. One was Assembly Bill 43, and this actually allows us a little bit more flexibility in setting speed limits. It used to be really driven by the speed that drivers want to drive on a road, and the speed limit would get set by that, at least if you wanted it to be enforceable. And otherwise, tickets could get thrown out of court. This gives a lot more flexibility on that, especially around schools and in business districts. So wanted to mention that that does give us some opportunity to potentially bring down the speeds around schools. In Pleasant Hill, speeding right next to schools is not as much of an issue directly adjacent to the schools because there's just a lot of congestion during that time. So this is more, if you go over Pleasant Hill Road and go past Acalanes High School, the cars go very fast there because it's 4-lane road. This would apply more in that situation than in our schools. A big one was Assembly Bill 645 that you may have heard of, and this allowed us to start testing speed enforcement cameras. So instead of just flashing the speed back at you and hoping you slow down, it's actually allows us in the state of California to issue tickets for going too fast for the first time ever. This is a pilot, and it's only allowed in these cities that are listed here in these 6 cities. So we can't do it yet in Pleasant Hill. And it's a 5-year pilot on this, but really one of the most successful ways to bring speeds down, especially around schools where drivers can often feel like they can drive much faster. And, as you probably know, enforcement, the resources for enforcement is much lower than it used to be. So this is an exciting development. We'll have to see how quickly it comes to Pleasant Hill. Across the world and in a lot of other states, this is already widely implemented.
Ryan, I have a quick question for you.
Mhm.
Do these speed cameras automatically issue tickets when folks go any number of miles over the speed limit, for example, 26 miles per hour in this case, or is there a certain cutoff, maybe 5 miles per hour faster than the speed limit or something like that?
It's very dependent by jurisdiction. So that is part of what's going to get worked out in this pilot. But it really is about setting expectations. So if everybody knows that they're going to get a ticket 1 mile per hour over, which is the case in a lot of other countries, the speed limit is the speed limit and that's it, then people start driving slower. But, I remember growing up as, 5 miles per hour over the speed limit was like what you're supposed to drive in theory. I think I was actually taught that by my driving instructor. And then the most recent one is Assembly Bill 413. And this you might have heard of. This is the intersection daylighting, meaning that making crosswalks more visible as you approach. It restricts parking within 20 feet of a crosswalk as you approach the crosswalk. So this was supposed to be more, oh, there it goes, okay. Yeah, so this just makes it illegal to park within that 20 feet, which is about 1 vehicle length as you approach a crosswalk. We don't have too many places where that occurs in Pleasant Hill because we mostly have already no parking in those areas, but there are definitely some crosswalks that don't have red curb painted or don't have no parking signs. It used to be you had to have those to enforce no parking. Now you don't have to have red curb. So this is rolled out across California starting January 1st of this year. You could start getting tickets for this. Correct. And this is both marked and unmarked crosswalks. Unmarked crosswalks are something most people do not know even exist. But it's basically anytime you have a sidewalk approaching an intersection, the extension of that sidewalk across the intersection is an unmarked crosswalk, and all the rules of a crosswalk apply, even though it's not painted. So
You know,
you have to go.
where I live, there is a hilly road where there is a crosswalk, but the cars comes from the other direction. You can see when they are like literally a few walks away, they are away. So it's kind of very scary situation. The car is not going to stop, or you have to run. So it's the crosswalk is there, but the drivers cannot see that someone is crossing from away, and they have to literally stop at the moment. So
What street is that?
it's Morello.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So that's even for people who are taking sidewalks. It's scary.
Yeah, and this, I mean, one car, 20 feet is not the minimum, that's the minimum now. Really, in a spot like Morello where vehicle speeds are higher, it needs to extend longer so that drivers have enough time to see the pedestrian and slow down. So this is kind of just setting a baseline minimum that, and you may have experienced it where there's a car parked right up against the crosswalk and you try to come out and you have to stick your head around the car to actually, or to see if there's a driver approaching. So, but I was in Martinez the other day and they've got parking meters in parking spots right up to the crosswalk. So it's going to take a little while for everyone to catch up. And it's likely not going to, you're likely not going to get a ticket if you park in that spot, but you can, even though it's a meter spot.
For those of us who don't know, or maybe just me, can you define the term curb extension? I'm not quite sure what. that
Yeah,
is.
so a curb extension, it's also called a bulb out. So it's where if there's a row of parking and the curb actually goes out around that parking so that it almost brings the pedestrians out in front of that parked car. Trying to think of an example right around here, but it's basically where the pedestrians already moved out. So that's why it's a shorter distance with that.
Drive, don't we?
Yeah, it's kind of like that on Crescent because it's the diagonal parking there. But like if you go to the corner in front of Pete's, that sidewalk comes out beyond the parking. So that's, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, or do you know if the police are starting to enforce this or that's gonna be one of the interesting ones?
Yeah, the traffic enforcement is very limited right now in Pleasant Hill. So this is probably not a priority. They're going to be responding to people calling in and asking for enforcement.
Got it.
That's probably the best way.
I heard in Martinez that they actually deactivated the parking meters.
Oh,
there.
okay.
And here, so it says no parking, like.
Okay.
So you're not supposed, like, you can't feed the meter, it says no parking, but the meter still exists because it has been there. But.
That's good to know.
It'll be interesting to see how how this may affect our schools and what our schools, kind of the approaches look like for the schools.
Yeah, and the Traffic Safety Commission, we talked a lot about this because a lot of people said, well, are we going to go out and paint all the curbs red? And the point is that you don't paint the curbs red and that it's just automatic. And so I'm at the moment of the mindset that I don't want to go out and start painting a bunch of curbs red because then it feels like if it's not painted red, then it's still okay to park there. And the whole point is to get people used to, doesn't matter if it's red or not, you can't park there. So I think it is very applicable around the schools. The problem is, I mean, I saw photos of people parking across, like on top of crosswalks. And so yeah, I think this is a good example of where it's not necessarily, it's not self-enforcing. Like we look for self-enforcing. The bulb out is self-enforcing because you physically can't park in that spot. This requires enforcement still. And the number of drivers that park in red curbs adjacent to the schools is already a challenge. So this automatic or enforcing this no parking zone is probably secondary to a lot of the other stuff around schools that we have to deal with. But it does affect that and it's statewide. So we're just trying to make people aware of it too. All right, so then I was just going to talk about a couple of completed projects that we did. The first one, school intersection improvements, which it's hard to travel through Pleasant Hill and not go through one of these. This was basically at every crossing guard location that was not a signal. So we had 2 signalized crossing guard locations, but all the ones that were not a signal, it was adding these speed humps and stop signs and flashing activated stop signs. All of this is relatively, you could call it innovative because it hasn't been done really anywhere else, to put the speed humps right next to the stop signs and then also to activate the flashing by pushing a button. I would say, and I think the question was asked, what the reactions have been to this. And I have said that it's all been actually pretty positive. I wasn't sure how that was going to be received. Everywhere except Oak Park by Pleasant Hill Elementary. I get regular calls about how bad we've made congestion over there. That's more because the stop sign is new at Oak Park and there wasn't one there before. And also the church driveway makes things a little more complicated. So there could be some longer term improvements there to get pedestrians down past the church driveway before crossing them over. I have some ideas about that, but the cost is a lot higher than what we had to implement this. And the background is that the contract with the crossing guards was expiring. We tried to get school district help on that. We could not get it. Pleasant Hill was one of the very few cities that actually paid 100% of the crossing guard costs. And so we looked at how much it would be to renew a contract, and even to get the manpower to do that was becoming difficult. So we went for more of a 24/7 type solution was the idea. The other one that was school related was the Taylor Civic intersection. So this was a brand new signal at a location. I mean, even during construction, we had like 3 crashes at this place. So this was a crash hotspot for the city. It also put in a sidewalk along Taylor on the north side in front of the police station and community center that wasn't there before. So a new pedestrian connection through there. And then we wrapped in some bike lanes on Norse Drive with that too. So a lot of positive feedback on this. I think in the first week, it worked great. And then everybody started going to it. And then the positivity around it waned a little bit. But I did have someone stop on as they turned left onto Civic and say thank you, and then immediately got honked at by the car behind them. But it was a really good project. And there's actually a lot of students that are using it to cross from the path on the south side coming from Lucille and cross like this girl is doing here to get over to the high school. As well as access to the Y, a lot of students going through this intersection, and Valley View, of course, as well.
Is the project, was it completed long enough to go to have some data on whether or not the number of crashes has gone down?
It's not really long enough to look at that crash period, but since it's been completed, we haven't had any. One of the things that happened during construction, before the signal poles were even up, put in this giant foundation for the signal pole. And these things are gigantic. They're like 4 feet wide and go down 14 feet into the ground. Someone drove across the median and crashed into the foundation and bent over the bolts sticking out. So we had to tear out that foundation and put in a new one. So it was all crashes completely unrelated to the construction too. And it was just, how does this keep happening? So there have been some complaints about Civic Drive turning green even when there's no cars. We're working on that. Ongoing projects. This one has made me very popular in the city. This is the Contra Costa Boulevard project. This is the 5th phase. So on either end, it is already upgraded with new signals, new streetlights, new landscaping. This was the last segment in this long rollout of this. It is very much under construction. It will get better traffic-wise once it's completed. But the whole idea here, and obviously a lot of the controversy is around the Taylor-Contra Costa intersection. As I mentioned before, speed is the thing that we're trying to address. This and Contra Costa Boulevard is our highest injury corridor. It's got, and by far the most collisions in the city, and those are almost all related to speed. So if we're going to do a project on Contra Costa Boulevard, we're going to try to address the speed. And so that's where removing those 2 slip lanes that you could take at 40 miles an hour comes in. And then also the 2 slip lanes that are staying, the ones that go to and from Sun Valley up at the top. So north is to the left here. Sun Valley is the top one that goes over to the freeway. Those are staying, but you'll see they're kind of squared off, so you can't take it quite as fast. And this is a lot of the comments around this are that there's no one walking or biking out there. But once you start closing crosswalks, you really see how many people are trying to walk through here, including all the students from the Santa Lucia neighborhood that come over to College Park. And so they're crossing through here. I've actually talked to a lot of residents, and maybe you are some of them as well, that live on Shirley Drive and some of the other streets that are being used as a cut through right now. They were actually, the ones I talked to were actually excited about walking in this area and feeling safer, but are dealing with increased traffic at the moment. Thank you. This project started long before I was here, so I don't take any of it personally. And once the right turn lane is in that you see going up the page right here, so being able to turn right from Taylor onto Contra Costa Boulevard, there's a dedicated lane that will be open once we move the signal poles, and then a lot of the traffic issues will be resolved. Other stuff that's coming in with this is, and this actually is at Taylor Civic too, the cameras that detect the drivers, the cars to turn the light, also are looking for pedestrians in the crosswalk. And if there's a pedestrian in the crosswalk, they'll hold the lights red until that pedestrian can get across the street. So if there's someone moving slower across, then it should hold the red light for longer.
So that is when they're in the crosswalk, not standing, like waiting to cross.
Correct, yeah. So they'll still, but for the bicyclists, so one of the features on this is the corners that you see are green in there. Let's see, can I point? Oh yeah. So these corners here, so this is kind of what's known as a protected intersection or a Dutch intersection. It's probably the first in most of Contra Costa County, Central for sure. But the idea is that a bicyclist coming down the road who wants to turn left does not have to merge across multiple vehicle lanes and get into this left turn lane. Instead, they're coming along here, they get out in front of the traffic, the light turns green, they make their way across this way, then they wait here, and then when the light turns green this way, they go across that way to make the left turn. So that's kind of the new style of saying that you're not gonna get a 14-year-old riding to school to cross over 2 lanes and then sit in the traffic lane to turn left and then go with them. So a lot of the comments about there's no bicyclists out here, we're hoping that these changes make it more comfortable for those bicyclists who are choosing not to ride because this is not comfortable for anyone at the moment. So it's a big project. It's also getting it's also a new signal at the Starbucks Seas Allen Drive intersection. That's another crash hotspot for the city. People turn left into what used to just be Seas, I guess, and maybe going to Rasputin or something, but wouldn't see traffic coming the other direction and then get hit and lead to vehicle crashes. So new signal here that will be a lot of time spent on coordinating it with the other signal, but should address that crash. Upcoming projects. So one of the projects that we're working on is a TDA grant, which is just one of our funding sources that we get from the county. and have funded a lot of things like the Oak Park sidewalk extension, and actually Taylor Boulevard was also, or the Taylor Civic intersection was also funded that way. This one, we're going to try to put in flashing beacons at several pedestrian crossings, the pedestrian activated flashing beacons. This one is over on Pleasant Hill Road. To the west is County and to the east is Pleasant Hill, but all those county kids go to Pleasant Hill Elementary and cross at this location to get into some of the back access to Pleasant Hill Elementary. So one will go there to help with that. This is further down on Pleasant Hill Road, also a place where there's not sidewalk on one side. And so to try and get more people across to the sidewalk on the other side is the idea. And then at the Canal Trail at Westover, it's one of the few crossings on the Canal Trail that doesn't have a flashing beacon with the volume of traffic that is on here. So also adding it there. We're also trying to get one over by the Goodwill and Salvation Army, the crossing there, that we actually got feedback. Why are you putting one here? People can just walk to the intersection where there's already a crosswalk. And we stand out there for 15 minutes and see 40 pedestrians cross there. So that's why we're not just telling everyone to go down to the signal. And then another project that we're working on. So this is the section of path from the new signal at Taylor Civic to Lucille. This is on the south side in front of the business park. That's on the south side of Taylor along there. This path was put in a while ago and is not in very good shape. We're going to widen this to be more of a trail to connect over to the signal so that people can ride their bikes or walk down this way. And it'll tie into the trail that was just built by the developments on the corner of Lucille and Taylor that put in a bunch of houses there. They also built a trail on the south side of Taylor that connects up to the Canal Trail. So this will tie into that. And we're trying to make these better connections over to the high school. And but I don't think Valley View has any catchment on the south side here, but for sure to College Park, that this is a route that they like to take now that the signal's there. I want to just also hit on this. So the Bike Family Fest, which I think this commission was at least aware of. And Traffic Safety Commission, they attended, but it's really a partnership with the city and volunteers at the volunteer residents, and really about supporting biking to schools, especially the elementary schools. And if you haven't heard much about it yet, it had like over 800 kids that came to this thing at the library on a Sunday and just went to different stations. We had one for each elementary school that they could put stickers on where they rode and where they didn't feel comfortable riding and where trouble spots were. There was a course in the parking lot. There was a course on the dirt lot next to it. Just a really good turnout. Heard from lots of people that didn't actually live in Pleasant Hill that came to experience this. So really successful event, made a lot of kids excited about biking to school. And we're in the works on coordinating for the next one for this year too. So, and it won an award from Bike East Bay, which is a big advocacy organization for innovative outreach. So kind of a cool thing that the city was a co-sponsor of. So that's kind of went beyond Traffic Safety Commission and just traffic in general, but just want to give an update on all the stuff going on. Happy to answer any questions. And also I think, I do like the idea of maybe some more collaboration between the Traffic Safety Commission and this commission, because I think a lot of what we can do starts at the schools and with the kids at the schools.
Just Ryan, I think to the last point that you just made, as an FYI, you may already know this, but there are 11 commissioners on the Education Commission, and each one is assigned to one of the 11 schools located in Pleasant Hill. So if you needed to get a message out to one specific school or multiple schools, there's an assigned commissioner for that school.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Because we do have specific requests that come, or I like to call them requests, not complaints, but we'd have requests a lot, especially like Sequoia is one of our biggest challenges in terms of the impact from a lot of vehicles.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you. It would be, I know, one of, our, as we're working through our strategic plan and kind of trying to figure out how to coordinate, it would be nice to figure out, like, I'm glad that you're here today. And like, how do we coordinate on like the Bike Family Fest? Which is called the BFF, which I thought was super cute. And I know we promoted it at National Night Out because we had a
Okay.
booth there. And so that was kind of fun to see, like, how can we collaborate? How can we get kids to school safely? How do we inform our schools about what's happening? How do we route requests? Because I think the Education Commission kind of got some of the requests or the concerns as we were moving through the Crossing Guard project.
Mm.
And so how do we work together? And that's, I think, often information, I think what we're uniquely poised in that we are the school liaison. So when we can go to our schools with say, hey, we heard from the Traffic Commission and this is what's going on and this is what's happening. It's information that they don't have otherwise, but that really affects them. So I'm hoping that you guys take away some of the presentation today and say, hey, we heard about these things. These are going great. Here's what's coming up. One of my takeaways from today is to go look at that capital improvement plan, because it said it's from FY 24 to 29. Like, what's involved and engaged in our school? I would also encourage you guys, I've looked at the bike ped master plan. I need to look at it again with like kind of different eyes, but to look at that too and say, hey, school, Strandwood, Valley View, did you know that this is what's going to be happening around this general vicinity? This is what the city's plan is for around the school. Because they may have an opinion or they may not have any kind of clue, but the more we can clue in our school communities to what's happening in our city, I think we have more informed citizens and just a stronger collaboration for everybody. So
Yeah,
thank you.
that's great. And I've been working a lot with Kara DeYoung, so she started the Bike PHE program and has been expanding that. It's at Strandwood now, it's at Gregory Gardens now. I think it's almost at all of them except for Fair Oaks. Yes, thank you. But anyway, a lot of that involves me going out there and meeting with the site coordinator and looking at some of the traffic concerns around that. So actually it would probably be great. I should reach out to this group and invite the commissioner for that school along on those. I think
That'd
that
be
would be
great.
good.
Yeah.
Because the thing that is challenging on my side is is working with the school district
Mhm.
and getting a response on things. And so any way into that would be very beneficial.
Yeah. I think it's nice as our commissioners, we are the only city in, Carla, so that you know, Kayla, sorry. I'm like, wait, what's her name? Kayla, is we're the only city in the Mount Diablo School District that has an education commission. So they're not sure how to work with us and we're kind of figuring out how to work with them. And so how do we kind of be advocates and be that extra voice? We do live in Pleasant Hill, so we are taxpayers who pay into the MDUSD. So the more they can hear from not just the city, but also from a parent or a potential parent or whatever, I think it really helps to influence that. We could kind of flex our citizen muscles, but we're a concerned citizen and somebody who's paying attention to what's happening. So that's nice. Yeah, MDOSD is always an interesting one to work with variety of responses. I'm sure you're used to that working in a school. Like some schools have a squeakier wheel. Great, thank you. Thank you so much for coming in.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yes,
Thanks,
yes,
Ryan.
yes, yes. Any other questions for Ryan? Thank you, thank you.
Thanks. Gonna go watch the second half of the girls' soccer game versus Lafayette.
Oh, nice.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Awesome. Next item agenda is the commissioner school assignments. And I was just looking, so Kayla gets to get a new one. And I know this is always this interesting piece. So Fair Oaks is currently the school without a commissioner. And so that's probably where we would naturally start anyway. Unless anyone's like, I would like to switch and I want Fair Oaks, and then Kayla gets you, I don't know why that would happen, but I don't, are you okay with being the commissioner to Fair Oaks?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
am. Yeah, I'll do whatever I need to do, so.
Okay, cool. Do we need to vote on that, Zach, or is that?
Yeah, that would be an action item.
Okay, so I'm gonna motion to assign Kayla to the currently undesignated school, Fair Oaks, and then everybody else remains as is unless anybody else wants to chime in. If you really wanted Gregory Gardens, you probably could fight Troy for it too. So
Okay.
we can start with this and you guys can
Okay.
discuss
Yeah.
over coffee or something. All right, anyway, I made the motion. Did somebody second it?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Kayla will get to be Fair Oaks, and we can talk more outside of this about Fair Oaks. They are in Pleasant Hill, and they don't have a PTA, so they're one of our lesser engaged folks, but also one of our more schools that could really use our resources. Yeah, that's cool. Oh, you do? All right. Oh, because you did ed tech, so you probably know them from that. Got it. All right. Okay, next is the update on student public art display at City Hall. Does anybody, that sounds like, yeah, did you have something?
So I'm going to bring all the art pieces, maybe 4th or 5th of the February, and I'm gonna put it there because they didn't have enough collection. So our teacher asked me to have some more time. So I just gave 1 more month to collect that. So we will be putting there in 4th or 3rd of the February.
That's gonna be Pleasant Hill Elementary.
Yes.
Awesome. Do we have a schedule for, so PHE, they're gonna run for a couple of months. Do we know who the next one is?
It was possibly College Park, so we're running into that same where people are like, hey, excited, and then as it gets closer, they're like, well, I haven't really made a plan yet.
Yeah.
So in fact, it came to mind today. I was like, you know what, we're gonna talk about that, so I emailed. And so now, I'm in that waiting, but so now it seems like we have probably February, March, because I think so this might be helpful. Because I think we were coming up on like March.
Mhm.
So now it's looking more like April, so hopefully.
Okay, CP's next. So you're on that, Stephanie. You're working on that. Okay.
And Pooja, just in terms of process, and then Stephanie, this would be for you in April and May. So once the artwork has all been curated by the art teacher, take pictures of it and just send me an email with the pictures of the artwork. And then from there, we can coordinate and schedule a time to meet on like the 3rd or the 4th of February.
Zach, would you be willing to write up like a process, like here's like, or I don't know, if someone else was doing this, sort of like here's what it takes to get there, is we need, the education commissioner organizes with the art teacher, and this is like I think we have the sizes, right? And so we can work on that part, but then, okay, once the art has been collected, then you take pictures, send it to Zach. Zach gives you the approval and schedules a date for everyone to come together. And then what's it like to remove? Just kind of so we could give the schools like a basic rundown of what happens. Was Aaron working on, who was working? Let me see if I can see on my minutes.
I think if I recall from the last meeting, Aaron volunteered to develop the process and then share it with Pooja.
Yeah, okay.
So I
It's
took the-
basically what you just outlined.
Yeah, I
We
took-
actually have never thought about though the removal process, which is good that you brought that up, right? Because the art's got to go before the new art comes in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that'll be maybe something that you can coordinate with Aaron. And then Aaron can arrange for the artwork that's there now to be, it doesn't need to be taken out minutes before the new art comes in, you know, it can be
Yes.
maybe the day before.
No, no, as soon as maybe in a couple days, I'll get the confirmation for the date. And then I will email Aaron directly about that. Hey, I'm going to put art on this day and I'm gonna CC you also so that we can fix the meeting on the same day and we can come together and put it here.
And that coordination is going to be important to do that a few weeks in advance because, you know, the principal or the art teacher needs to be available, right? So they may be on vacation or they, for whatever reason, they may need some notice for either them to be there or someone else from the school to come.
Got it.
Yeah, so I put like, I'll see if we can do like a collection of items, approval, installation, removal, like kind of so that people, we kind of understand that. I mean, this is a pilot program, we're figuring it out, so. But it would be
Yeah,
nice
I
as the
sent
next
the
group-
sample to our teacher. This is how we have posted the first sample from Sequoia. And she was like agree on following the same process. So I'm happy, yeah.
Great,
They're pretty good, yeah.
nice, awesome, thank you.
I am curious if we could put together like something like what you're saying, but could we do a quick flyer so that we could all then just be like, hey, here's, and you were saying that picture, and this might already exist, sorry.
No,
But like the picture of where it would be, and like, we would love for your art to be the next one here, so that we can then all just send it to our, just a quick send out.
yeah, I'm gonna work with Aaron, because I do remember
Okay.
him saying like he was gonna work on that piece, because we have like the description of approximately how many you would need and what the sizes are, and so that will be like on collection of, right, I don't know the art terms, but right, curating the collection and the size available, and then we can kind of, but I agree, some kind of like here's a process of how it's gonna work.
And if you, when you're putting that together, if you don't have a photo or you don't have the measurement of the height, you can email me, especially during work hours. I'll run downstairs, take a photo, and I can email it back to you. And then I can also measure the height, because I think it's the same height for every shelf.
Yeah. Yeah, like,
I think it's A4, the size for the shelf.
yeah, but A4, I don't think most people, well, I don't know what A4, I know what A4 is, but it's 8.5 by
Oh.
11. Yeah. It's just a different terminology than I'm used to, but I know from my printer settings, but I'm like, A4 may not know. Yeah. Great, thank you. Awesome. And then the next is the update on the Joint Education Diversity Commission Racial Bullying Ad Hoc Subcommittee. Jeannie, I totally missed it. I spaced out. I realized I missed the email. So, do you want to do? You are not my secretary and don't need to remind me. I should have. I was messaging with Kyle and I was like, I saw an email and I went back and looked. I was like, oh, that was an email about the meeting that I missed. I missed it. So, please report back.
Well, we had a really nice attendance. I think there were about 8 of us
Nice.
there. So it was really nice. And basically, what we were proposing to the city council was for them to approve for us to have some kind of a community conversation, basically around informing the residents of Pleasant Hill to learn about Black lives in Pleasant Hill, their experience and what they face, you know, on a daily basis, and yet to allow our residents to become more informed about the Black community here in Pleasant Hill. The city council loved the idea, absolutely was all in favor for it, but they denied us the funding to have a paid moderator and some food, whatever, and plus maybe to include a series of events. And so we were pretty disappointed about it. And however, we are moving forward. So we put our heads together and we're thinking about having one of the members from the diversity committee to moderate something like it and figure out who we can involve. And they're taking it to the diversity committee first to find out how they would like to see us move forward before we come up with some kind of proposal. it was a really good meeting. A lot of good dialogue that occurred, really meaningful dialogue, and people being really honest, about how they felt and how they would like to see it. So
Nice. So more information to come. it
more
sounds like.
information to come.
Yes, and they also, was kind of also discussing, it would be helpful at, this event that parents could be informed of like, what would be next steps if they experience something unfortunate, through their school, who would be the, appropriate avenues for their student or just for, moving through a difficult process like that. So it was kind of like, not only we're talking about informing, but also getting, equipping parents.
Right, and that was a really good part of the, really powerful part of the meeting, that conversation that we had when someone shared about that experience that a Black parent had, or the parent didn't, but the child did, if the parent had, and the steps that they had to go through to be heard.
Great. Thank you. So more information to come, it sounds like. I think we can all continue to share that the Diversity and Education Commission are working towards something, and that we hope that our schools will engage, especially at the middle and the high school level. So communicating to our school communities at the middle and high school level that these exist, but also to the PTAs of the younger schools, the elementary schools, so that those parents can be informed. It may not be it could be an appropriate topic for elementary schools, but the parents would decide that. But we can absolutely engage the kids and the parents at middle and high school level. So leaving that, really leaving it up to the parents in all areas, but really engaging and inviting them. So how do we do that as we move forward? Good. Thank you. Thanks for attending, guys.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Sorry. So when I was listening to the October meeting,
Uh-huh.
that's when you guys kind of put
Mhm.
together from this task force
Mhm.
commission. And I know it was full then. So if there's any movement there,
Mhm.
if I could just be, I think it was, yes, a backup member.
All right.
or- Yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone doesn't want to be a part of it anymore.
I'm just gonna put Kayla in.
I think there was like too many people.
Yeah, we can only
It
have
can only
so,
be so many.
yeah. So we have
Yeah.
Jeannie, Shaheen, myself, and Kyle.
Yeah.
And so that's 3. So we, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. We could have 5. No, sorry. We could potentially have 5. Is that right? Or hold on, I just was looking at this. It is gonna be,
A quorum is 6, right, with 11 members.
just looking at it. Oh, I'm looking at the the meetings, and they are the minutes. It said we're establishing the racial bullying committee, but then we listed the pillar subcommittees. I'm just realizing as I'm looking at this, because yes, those both did happen, but they were different. So does that make sense, Zach, in the October one?
It's point 10 in October.
Oh, they just got mixed up. So the meat of 8 needs to be moved to the meat of 10, and the meat of 10 needs to be moved to the meat of 8.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it is correct, it's just they're wrong headings or whatever. So,
So that should be a motion then, because the minutes were already approved as is. So there should be another motion to approve the minutes with this change.
okay. I motion to approve the to amend the approval, so that in October, that the appointments for the ad hoc subcommittees, that is currently like the meat of number 8, goes to 10, and that the appointment of the commissioners to the bullying subcommittee goes up to 8.
Mhm.
Would anybody like to second that?
Second,
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
aye.
Opposed, nay. Hearing none, motion passes, so we'll make that switch. So yes, it's Dolman, Shakar, Donovan, and Levy to, we would have room for Kayla, right? Because then we don't meet quorum.
Technically.
You're nervous.
Well, because the commission is 11 members, 5 is quite a few commissioners to be meeting outside of a publicly agendized meeting. So it's technically allowed, but it's quite a bit. It's kind of pushing the spirit of what that,
Okay.
that act is.
Because I may step down, Kayla, so
Okay.
I may slide you in shortly. So we'll discuss. We'll discuss. Yes,
Thank you.
yes. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Next item is 10, updates from the strategic plan ad hoc subcommittees. So, pillar 1 is report is
I don't have much of a.
okay. No report? Well, I'll encourage you. I'll prod, I will.
Me too.
I will incentivize, I'm not sure. Let's-
Oh, I like that.
Yes.
Or I would say I like that, except for I know our budget, so.
Well, it's okay. Well, I'll work on gift cards of Pete's or something. So we can, we'll try to get the engaged one moving forward. So you guys can know what you want to do and where we want to go and what you want to work on. No problem. We're all volunteers here. So I totally get it. So please don't beat yourself up. Let's just we'll try to come up with 1 or 2 things that you guys want to do. That's probably the hardest thing is like, what do you feel is doable? Just figuring out a time to meet, and then coming back and bringing it to the team. Okay, strategic pillar 2 is, Commissioner Kamara, you're the only one here today. Would you like to talk about?
Yeah, like last time I have told that I'm communicating and we are planning to celebrate with the PHE, and if that program goes successful, then we can replicate in a different school.
Mhm.
So we are still in talking terms.
Okay.
So I hope in February or March, what we are thinking to celebrate that.
Celebrate how? Tell me more about that.
Like the education truck from the.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
From the fire department or the different departments. So bringing the tech to the school and engaging companies with the kids
Mhm.
to provide them. It's a kind of counseling,
Mhm.
but in an education term.
Okay.
So that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay. And I also know that Aaron sent an email saying that the Pillar 2 Commission or Subcommittee is sending weekly reports from the MDUSD newsletter to Jeff, who's putting them in the community outlook, the outlook that goes out every other week. And it's really cool. I saw
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I saw it in the
he
email
shared
last
that.
week. So I don't know if you know, Kayla, we get a monthly hard copy in our mailboxes. And so that will, we tend to write an article for that or whatnot. But then we get every other week, right, bi-weekly, yeah, every other week, we get an email from the city, and there's now like school news basically not at the bottom, but kind of towards the bottom, and it breaks it down by the communities or the different schools. And I think it's kind of cool. It's like, here's what's going on. And we will work on timeliness, because I think it was one of those things, was like the meeting was that night or like it had already happened, but we're trying to get the news out about what's happening at our schools to our general community.
Pooja, I just wanted to clarify. So the truck that you're referring to, it's a PG&E fire truck?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And it would go visit which school?
Pleasant Hill Elementary School.
Okay.
And moving on to pillar 3, Tara's gonna report on that one.
Great. Pillar 3, our plan is the 3 of us.
Mhm.
That is Commissioner
well, Lindsay, Jeannie, sorry.
Yeah,
can't
it's
remember
okay.
last
Yeah,
names.
yeah. We're all friends here.
Yeah, thank you. For February, that we are to contact the school leaders, the presidents, principals, vice principals, and the PFC leaders to come and speak some point next month. Would now be a good time to ask for updates, or do we do that at number 12?
What do you mean?
Just saying, how's that going for you? Have you
Oh,
contact?
got it.
Has
No,
anyone
right
gotten
here.
back to you?
No, I think this is now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can say my principal and vice principal are ghosting me and, you know, I don't know, I don't want to be a stalker. I did send out a email to the PFC leader waiting to hear back, but here we are, January. I don't know, for me, for Hidden Valley Elementary, what the reality of somebody coming next month will be.
Mhm.
How has it been for the two of you?
For me, I have commitment from both College Park, because I went to the PTSA meeting, and Pleasant Hill Middle School to come
Great.
from somebody. So that's good. It's a start.
That's great.
Jeannie, did you have any response from your folks?
No, I need to work smarter.
I love that way of saying that. We were saying, like, if you're having troubles getting in touch with your school, my only success has been showing up at their doorstep and basically saying, hi, I'm here. And they're like, oh, who are you? I'm Lindsay. I'm from the Education Commission. And this is what I want to talk to you about, because I sort of get the floor during an introduction, or at the end of a meeting, they often have, does anybody have an announcement for the greater good? And then I just raise my hand to introduce myself. But I think it's going to start slow. We haven't typically had a ton of engagement from our schools, from the principals or the PTAs. So we're in progress. As we were putting together our strategic plan last year, we had 2 or 3 schools, I think, here. Buscemi, I think we had like 3 schools here, and Dr. Clark. So a big superintendent was huge coming in. And so my idea was for pillar 3, is inviting as many people as we can and just hearing from them. So really, like how Ryan did his presentation today, just hearing from the schools. How's it going for you? What are your needs? How can you see, what do you need from the city? Like, how can we work to support you? And then we'll roll that into some of our pillars should they be appropriate and feel doable? But really engaging our schools once a year to come in. And last year we did April and we had a few. This year we're trying February. We'll see what happens. Trying to pick months that maybe school leaders could come in, because we know March, April, May is fundraising and end of school. So we're trying to, and November, December is super hard too. So
You got to get them early in the school year when they're still excited.
yeah, yes. So thank you, Tara.
Yeah, well, sure. Well,
Yeah.
that's just February. Then we have March or April. I've contacted the MD USD area 2 and 3, Linda Mayo and Keisha.
In Zayway.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And Zayway. Keisha got back to me. She says, I may be able to come in March or April. She kind of has a conflict with one of her daughter's schedules
Mhm.
for Thursday nights, but she's saying I may be able to move some things around. So that's promising. May we have the firecracker.
Mhm.
How is that going?
It's going really well.
Great.
So yes, Rich has confirmed that someone can come to that meeting, so we should have firecracker folks here. We have to figure out timing, so just a heads up as commission, because I asked him to actually present the checks to the schools at February, so that maybe we could get the principals to come and pick up their checks. I was trying to work my magic, but they had to deliver the checks before the end of the year because of their finances,
Sure.
so it's an opportunity for potential engagement as we go. But we really want to start talking to our schools about the Firecracker 5K. And then hopefully when he comes in May, there will be information that we can get out to them fairly immediately that we're having tidbit conversations here and there. And then it's like, hey, remember, here you go, push that out so that we can start raising money for our schools through the Firecracker 5K.
Great. All right. And then
But yes,
last,
that's good.
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Okay. And then lastly, for June, having a library representative come. And you were doing,
I think Patrick is good.
Okay,
I just need to double check, but yes.
excellent. That's awesome. Okay, that is our pillar 3.
Yay. Thank you.
For, I believe, is it next month? The goal is to bring in reps from the schools. Is that correct?
Yep.
So yeah, just make sure that if anyone RSVPs, just make sure to let Lindsay and me know, and we'll make sure to get it on the agenda.
We'll have it as an agenda item, just like discussion with the schools and kind of open it up to see who's there. But yes, it would be nice to know
Yeah.
who's coming.
So
Sure, and
basically, are we inviting the principal to come and join the meeting? Okay, so I didn't invite it yet, so I
Yeah,
have to do
yeah.
that.
And the PTA.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I invited, when I went to the PTA meeting, I just invited anyone. Because if we got one person, I would be thrilled. But I really made personal invites to the PTA president and the principal and principal, or like the leadership, the school leadership. But I also encouraged, anyone can come. It's a public meeting. Please come on in, and wheels can turn in different ways if, and you never know who's gonna be next year's PTA president too, so.
And I am making it kind of low commitment, low stress, like 5 minutes, 10 if you want. Give us an update. What are you working on? What are you looking forward to? How can we help you? I wanted to make it, and then I invite them to leave if they want.
Yes,
And,
absolutely.
like
That's a
afterwards,
great,
like, you do
yes.
not have to stay the full time.
yes.
I
that
want
is-
them to be comfortable.
Thank you, Tara. That's a wonderful thing. They'll be early in on the agenda. Yeah. Great. Thank you. Okay, articles for the Outlook newsletter. We have our March and April newsletter. Oh, drafts are due January 31st. That's next week. Did we have anything that we wanted to report on? We had a great write-up. The last one was about the art display, which was awesome, and pictures. It's so cute. Oh, you didn't get it again? Oh, no. Did I?
So Pooja and anybody else, if you don't get an Outlook, send Jeff Gillette an email. If you don't have Jeff's email, just send me the email. You did, okay. Yeah. Sorry, that does sometimes happen. Have you gotten them in the past, or have you never received one? Yeah.
Not even before, not even after.
Mhm. Did I respond when you sent me the email saying I didn't get it? Did I respond? Did you include your address in the email? Okay, okay. It's not ringing a bell, but okay. I'll go back and look, Pooja.
No, because that's mine, but I will get you one. If they-
We have a
they
bunch in City Hall, right? You want to, after the meeting, I'll go grab you one? Yeah.
Yes. But I wanted you to see
You
it.
can have more than one
Yes,
since
yes.
you're in there.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I asked my neighbor also,
Yeah,
I think they are also not getting it.
Yay! Look at all the stars. Yeah. Anything that we would want to report on? Any ideas for an outlook? Anything that we think is happening or going on? Yeah, Pooja.
For idea, I would like to propose, like she is in education tech, right? For high school and middle school, elementary school is like optional, but can we have like people who can come and create a kind of counseling for kids? Because in middle school and high school, kids are mostly confused. So if we have that kind of counseling kind of things, then we are creating a kind of relationship. We are showing a path for the future. It's not going to be that kids is going to follow the same thing, but we are giving them an option. Because many kids don't know that after 9th grade, they can go to the DVC college and opt for like different classes on robotics and learning machineries, learning electronics. So if we can have such kind of guests and who can help the people, the kids are more passionate about these days, robots, the games, to help them to understand what is their final goal, or to, because kids are mainly confused with so many things going around. AI is going around, then environment is going, climate change is going around, politics is going around, which area should be focused? So if we have a people from different field for the student, we can streamline them, give at least a one line of view to see the future.
So Pleasant Hill Middle School has Career Day. So that may be kind of a tie-in. I know they're putting the call out for presenters at Career Day, which is just those kind of things. So if that's something that you're interested in, you certainly could be a presenter at Career Day, or other folks could be at Career Day. But I wonder how we could do that in a commission way, right? Like how could we replicate that or support that in other ways? The schools have very tight controls on like who can present and how that works, or what you could even consider counseling, right? So that would be, we would have to figure out some way to organize that amongst ourselves. And so I think we would need to kind of figure out, okay, what pillar is going to take that on, what subcommittee, how that would work. But I do know like Pleasant Hill Middle School has Career Day that's coming up in April. So it's a good thing to think about. I just don't think we're ready for an article yet. I was trying to think of, is there anything that we're working on that we would want to like announce to the community in an Outlook article?
Well, when you only have a week, it's like, oh my God.
I know.
How am I gonna get all these? I don't
Yeah.
know, like, but just also for you, as we're all still thinking about the articles, that something like that too, you might wanna, as education, is the different types of education. Because like you said, kids are so confused, not everybody knows what path to take. So we can also look at helping with different types, like technical, or, all the different trades, right? Not every path is the same. And to start putting those options out there, we're not just talking about, TK through 12 and go on to college, but we're finding that information to put out for all those other different types of education.
Like right now, Tesla is paying people to study apprenticeship in DVC college after high school. Many kids don't know that they're missing out the opportunity, and they are giving almost 800 students every year this opportunity. And after that, they're even providing a job. So if such information is delivered to a kid, especially for your Park High School, it's a useful tool. And also we are keeping ourselves strongly in front of the school and the community, that we are really working hard to bring such information to the school so that it will be useful for kids, because many student doesn't come from that well-being background who can pay their college fees or tuition fees. So if they know that there is a way to get the money, there is a way to get the degree.
Yeah, I think that is probably a bigger discussion than we have time for today, but it would be interesting to see how we could make some of that thing. I know Jeannie is really passionate about this, like tech schools and figuring out a way to engage our kids in other opportunities. And so trying to figure out what that might look like. It sounds like you're passionate about it, and I know Jeannie's passionate about it. So like, what do we do as an education commission with no budget, limited resources, all those kind of things? So what can we do to make an impact? So I think it's a good thing to think about. Thinking about an article, one of the things is, does anybody know of, like, we could put something like, if anybody knows about an opportunity, we'd probably need to do some vetting, but we could put something out into like, hey, did you know that this opportunity exists?
Let's talk about then AI, because everywhere there is everyone is talking about AI.
You'd want to do an article about AI?
Yeah, the article and how it's impacting the education. We can
Oh boy.
That is that's gonna be a messy subject.
Yeah.
And you would need to get buy-in from all the principals, I'm sure. It's really hard, and you're gonna have a lot of different viewpoints,
Mhm.
and it might be worthy, but that's gonna be a months-long research process.
Yeah.
To write something like that, because right now, I mean, I work in AI and I still understand very little of it. But I also understand how students are using AI and it's not good. So, so there's good
Because
and
of
bad to
that,
it.
check
But
is going
I
down.
guess what I'm saying, I'm throwing my hat in for cautiously optimistic. Yes, that's a great idea, but we have to understand there's so much more there than.
Well, I'm not volunteering, but maybe we should put out an article that kind of goes over the 3 points of the plan. Just in, like an overview. So
Strategic-
people, like what we, like, because if we don't have a specific topic and we always kind of run into that, like, what do you guys do?
Like
you
just
know.
in general, what does the Education Commission do?
Yeah, and then take a piece from each of our strategic plan and maybe throw in a couple, like, so for, like, like for engagement, like what's coming up, right? We have the art and wine and because I'm thinking, because this is March, April, right? So when March, April comes out, we're going to be close to art and wine and how we might, add to that. I'm trying to think what will come out, just as a further, maybe the firecracker, just little plugs of things that we do, taking a little bit from each of our groups. And that way, since nobody wants to volunteer, you can get a little bit of something from everyone. Now we just need the person to take all the information and put it into play.
So Lindsay?
Yeah.
So we had talked about that a few months ago about writing an article about who the Education Commission is, because I don't think a lot of people in Pleasant Hill, including the schools, know who the Education Commission is. I mean, the the principals know, and of course PTA, but who else beyond that? And so I've always wanted us to write an article about who we are and what we do. And I think now is the right time to do it, because we're more focused and we know kind of what we're doing now based on the pillars and what we're doing with each of them and where we're going with each of them. I think we have something to say that's of more substance, more meat. And I think, I like your idea, we talked about it a few months ago and nothing happened. And I think it's because we were at a loss. I think that's when we're still going over the,
Aaron wrote an
The-
article, so I'm trying to find Aaron's.
I know he did.
But you want to do another, and I think we can.
I think
can't-
we have more substance now is what I'm saying.
Right,
I think we have a better focus now.
okay. Are you volunteering?
All right.
6.
So I think maybe even if we kind of make that a thing once or twice a year.
Yeah.
Right? So, hey, check it in. This is, we told you 6 months ago, maybe, that this is what was coming up and here's how it went. And then in between are like the bigger highlights or the individual things that people write about.
Looking for September and October. Yeah, I mean, Jeannie, are you wanting to write an article about what you do a really good job of educating? And she's pointing to you.
Together this week.
Oh, 3.
Oh,
Okay.
she's got all kinds of fingers.
Say yes.
Education Commission's
When is
strategic
this
plan
due?
looks to the
The
future.
31st. It's due Friday.
Oh,
It's due the
Oh,
fall.
my gosh.
No.
She's like, oh, we're like,
Yeah.
She's like, never mind. Well, that was the whole point.
No, the following Friday.
It's a week.
Tomorrow, but that was the point, is like, now that we only have a week, everybody's gonna need to give a little.
If we have a final topic, then I can write. Because,
Yeah, just like what is the Education Commission? So Aaron did a pretty nice Education Commission strategic plan looks to the future that just came out, not the last one, but the previous one. And so I'm hesitant. I agree that we can't kind of write about it enough, but I'm wondering if we want to put this together for maybe the like We just,
Because you're thinking September, but then it's gonna come out in April, right? So that's about 6 months. This one is good. The one that were for January would be for March, April. And if he did it in September, right? So then that's about 6 months since by the time it comes out.
I think I have sent you the first draft was as a education commissioner, what we do. Remember before sending this one, the very first draft?
Before it got final.
Yes, yes. Yeah, then you reminded me that we talked about the art display,
Yeah.
not about the work of education commissioner. If we can use that article.
gonna send it over to me and I'll start working on something.
Yeah, do you want to resend it to Lindsay?
Yes,
I know
I-
what you're talking about.
yeah.
Send that to me and Aaron.
Yes,
Yeah.
You
yes.
Send it over here and then I'll try to connect with you guys.
Okay, I'm gonna forward you the same email because it's already written. So if you can do
Okay.
some innovation in that, so yeah.
Okay, I'll try to lead on it and see what we get for even a blurb about the Education Commission. And then, because I want to also look at Aaron's, and then but I'm not promising anything.
Okay. If we don't pull something together.
So
by the
if you
31st,
want to change something in that, you can just write the email, what you are looking for in that to add on to that topic. I can do that.
Okay.
Because mostly I'm at home, so I can do that. for you.
Okay, I'll try to work with Pooja on that.
Okay.
And then let's be thinking about future. So May, June would be the next one. Oh, Jeannie's got something.
Yeah, so in June, for the June article, what do you think if we recap what the commission did? And then we can talk about the pillars
Oh,
and give them more information about who we are. You know, I always say they have to hear it 7 times,
mm-hmm.
right?
Spiral.
So this is one of those things where they have to hear it 7 times, right, Shaheen?
I like that, and I'd be willing to collaborate with you on that later date.
On a later
Yes.
date? Okay,
Yes, on that
okay.
later than 1 week date.
Okay,
Okay, I have a crazy idea.
yeah.
And this might have already been done. What if it's just meet your commissioner for each of your schools and then they know us, they have our email, that might bring in some traction? Then no one has to write me. It's just like a beautiful box.
I think that's great, period. It's.
Just so like, if they're flipping through it, it's like, oh, who's this? They're for Pleasant Hill Elementary. Great, maybe I can contact them and like contact them about if you want to know more. I don't know.
So,
That's
so when we introduce ourselves as education commissioner, they come with all sorts of problem. You, the road crossing is not safe,
She didn't even say questions. They came with all kinds of problems. No, I thought she was gonna say they come with all these crazy questions. Nope, just problems. Just
Yeah,
I love that idea. We have it on the website. I'm hesitant because no other commissions put like a meet your commissioners. I love the idea, but I think that would need to go to the city, like to Jeff and up higher to be like, hey, do we want to use the Outlook as like a meet your commissioners? I don't think that's a bad idea. I actually really love it,
Zach?
but I
Do you
don't know
or-
how.
I certainly think it's worthy of a proposal. I think what Lindsay might be getting at is that, you know, if we did do this for one commission, then maybe the other commissions
Yeah.
would also want to do it. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, and that's not a reason to not do it. So, you know, if it's something that you guys want to do, send, you know, no, but I don't,
I think
I-
we're a good
I
idea
would
for
not-
future. I just don't think we can pull it together by the 31st because we would need not city council, but city manager, Jeff, like they would need to discuss that idea about like, would we want our Outlook to be used for that? Because we would need to be equal amongst the commissions. So I think it's a great idea.
Now, I can't visualize it right now, but at the end of the articles, is there some sort of link like check out Education Commission and just put the, you know,
Well, because it's paper, so there's no
Oh, people-
QR code.
right, but, or could we fit a QR code though?
QR code.
Could we just do that at the end of the article? We could put it at the end of any of our articles.
yeah, we
so that
do have
people
the
can-
ability. We've been doing this a lot lately. We can create a QR code that goes to a website. Yeah.
Well, I think we created a QR
A
code
web
to go to the
page.
strategic
right? For example.
So when we do a
Yeah.
if we recapped it, we could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to look at what Pooja has and see, but also hold space that I kind of like Jeannie's idea for the next article would be like, here's what we've done in the past year. So it just is a little bit, I think I'm getting into, we're getting into crunch time. And I don't want to just put something out there for the sake of putting something out there. I'd like to have it be thoughtful. So I'm a little torn. So I want to see if I can put something together, but then also kind of hold space for what's coming up. We'll have some things to report on. Okay. I'm gonna keep moving. Is that okay? Okay. Commissioner reports is the next section. Anybody have a commissioner report?
I'd like some of us to share how we engage our schools as commissioners. I'm just asking for suggestions. How?
Go ahead.
It's difficult.
It is.
That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to know how to
So-
get that started.
So last year, I had a little more space in my schedule. And so I worked as an art docent at Strandwood, and so taught art lessons. And so I was on campus often enough, and so was able to kind of connect with different teachers and the principal and so forth. So that made it, and I also volunteered in the ice cream, like giving the ice cream to the kids when they've earned a certain number of like blue slips or something like that. So like kind of connecting with different kind of like parent groups on campus to see where I could volunteer really opened up like a lot of doors for me to connect with the admin and different teachers. So that worked for me.
Yeah, same. And now that my kids aren't in school, I go back still and, I'm still, active on the boosters and in the sports, and I, go to the school and for events and, chat people up, help volunteer, work concessions, things like that.
Helping, understanding the problem and then helping the principal to raise some fund, because he's always like, other help we have, but we need fundraising help. So that's how helped me to connect.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, and for me, it's been just showing up and being the squeaky wheel a little bit. And then also, I think we've talked before is that we kind of were the principals, the school leadership changes more often now than it ever has before. And COVID really took a weird, like, what does Education Commission do? So there is some rebuilding of that and prioritization for the principals of just like, I'm overloaded. So I think it's consistency and just trying. And you're gonna hit with some and you're not gonna hit, something's gonna happen and you'll be seen as a resource and then they will glom onto you. But until they need you, they sort of are like, we're a little pesky in some ways, but a good pesky?
Is there any way, it's maybe out of the box, but at the beginning of our commission or in August, we can get something on letterhead or from the city of Pleasant Hill that we can present to the principal or vice principal, maybe with our photos. This is a person who's here for your benefit. We are here to advocate for this school, giving them our face, our name, our email address. I just feel that I don't know if that's too intrusive. I don't know if that's asking the city of Pleasant Hill for too much. But I almost feel, and again, I'm new, so I could be totally reading this wrong, but I do feel that they think I'm just a pest. And I want them, I don't think that they understand that they have a resource available to them and how sad that is. So how do we kind of make them see that. I think it's awesome that you taught art lessons and you can help them fundraise. I'm looking for anything, but giving them almost like an official piece of paper
Mhm.
with our information, like I am your personal advocate, like,
Mm.
use me. Could we do something like that?
And like what we had tonight with meeting, like what we had tonight with meeting with the,
Right.
yes, with Ryan. And being just kind of like an opportunity that like we could be a liaison and kind of like articulating that to our schools and just say, hey, if you are trying to get information across to these other commissions or something like that, I'd be happy to kind of like support you in that. Because a lot of times it's kind of like, I mean, I didn't have this experience, but I've heard of a lot of us getting the response back of like, well, what do you guys even do? What could you do for me? Like, why is meeting with you useful? Kind of like that kind of thing. So if we have kind of like some things in our arsenal or quiver or whatever you say, just like to be like, oh, these are kind of things and opportunities that I could try to make your job easier. Like, I think that could be really helpful.
What I'm thinking and using kind of a couple different ideas here is what if one of us drafts a letter from the mayor, but that says, here's what the Education Commission does. And then we would have like, and your commission representative is Lindsay Nolman, and here is her phone number and her email, and it's written basically on city letterhead, and it's written by the mayor. And so that goes to the school in some way, shape, or form, that it comes from the official, like from the mayor, and it's, I don't know how much, the school principals care about the city mayor of the city that their school is in, especially like Hidden Valley, because it's technically in Martinez, but it serves Pleasant Hill. Trying to think of how we elevate that with how do we use our city connections to,
It lends legitimacy is what it does.
Right.
yeah,
As a former principal,
yeah. You would say,
I would look at that
you would look at it, okay.
because
I
of the letterhead. I won't look at it if it's another letter because I don't have time.
Yeah, but letterhead on letter by the
It
mayor.
has to be official. And this is why I'm trying to get information in the, in our newsletter.
I see. Okay.
That's what I'm trying to do. We haven't given them enough information about us.
Mhm.
They don't know who we are. And I think we need to do that more.
Okay. I agree. And how we can do it, this goes out to the entire city, but if our principals aren't living in our city, they're not getting this.
So what I'm thinking about when we do write the article for the Outlook, I don't know how many of our principals read that Outlook. I don't. So I think we should draft a letter from that article and say, hey, these are the things that we've done, and make it personal to them after we get introduced by the mayor, so they know who we are. So we become more legitimate. Do you see what I'm saying?
You're like an intro letter from the mayor, but then you want to do like we all can report what we've done, like a report.
If we do it quarterly, well, how often does it come out? Every other month?
This is,
Yeah, 6 times.
So we can do that. They can get something from us 6 times a year, because now they know who we are, right?
yeah, well, also, I'm like, maybe, can we ask Jeff, do the schools get this? I mean, I know it goes to postal customer, but is this going to each of the schools?
I don't know if it's going to the schools, but I gotta tell you.
I
there's
think
a
it
lot-
goes to residences.
Yeah.
So I don't think it goes to businesses or nonprofits or any address that's not a residence.
What I'm trying to say is, when you get a pile of stuff, and we do as principals, it becomes this big.
Yeah,
So I just think we need to personalize it and
Yeah.
make it short
yeah,
and sweet.
yeah.
But I mean, a lot of the principals and things don't necessarily live in Pleasant Hill, so it would be, might be good to drop some off in the
That's-
offices, because they don't live here in Pleasant Hill. I mean, some of them might, but I know they don't.
That's exactly what I was thinking, is that if we wrote an article, and what if we were the ones that delivered this 6 times a year? And said, hey, I know this doesn't go to you, but there's some really cool things in here. And then we personalized it and say, here's some cool things that affect the school. We've got an article in here for the Education Commission. There's some great things to think about. And so I wonder if that would be a way for us to get in, because this is very, specific. Hidden Valley is going to be another little bit of a weird one because it technically is in Martinez, but it does talk a lot about things that happen in Pleasant Hill, and they're kids that live in Pleasant Hill, so there may be some effect there. Let's keep brainstorming. I want to wrap this meeting up. So I think we keep brainstorming. And so, I got some things to think about.
Yeah, and we should very much style it over like the Breakfast Club letter.
Oh.
You know, like we are, you know, if you remember that, we are, come up with this, there's all these like things. Sincerely yours.
I like it. I think you're gonna be writing that one. Okay. Based on
Yeah.
the Breakfast Club. I love it.
Well, and if you're gonna do all the content, here's a reference.
Yeah. So for anybody else have any commissioner reports? Okay, no, okay. I know that schools are busy in December, and so there may not have been a whole lot have happened, but for announcements, so Laura Worley came to the meeting in October or November, and yes, in October. And so she had asked us to, Pleasant Hill is actually creating a climate change plan or a climate plan. And that meeting is happening on the 30th or the 2nd. And so she's encouraging us as commissioners, inviting our schools, but also as commissioners to come in as kind of thinking about the school aspect of things and coming to one of those meetings. So I am going to attend on the 30th, and I encourage anybody to come join me. Maybe I'll even bring treats, but I'm a hoot to sit next to. And then the one on the 2nd. Actually, is it the second? Hold on, let me look.
Can you please share the?
It is the. Hold on. The City of Pleasant Hill is excited to announce the upcoming workshop to shape our community's climate action plan. And so as school folks, we could go, and it's either on Thursday, the 30th from 6 to 7:30. That's the one I'm gonna go to. And then there's a second workshop on Saturday, the 1st from 10 to 11:30, and they're both right here in this room. I believe. It says City Hall. I'm guessing it's in here.
Probably the big community room.
Probably in here. So they're gonna do an overview of progress and discuss key areas of focus. So I think we can talk and we could bring perspective from people that are involved in the school community, how to get the information to the schools, how to connect with the schools. I think that's where we could really advocate for the Education Commission to be heard as a part of what the city's doing, so that we also elevate our worth, if you will, our presence with the city, because I think that we could use some image.
Clout.
Yeah, something, I don't know.
When did you say it was? January 30th? What time?
Thursday?
What time?
Oh, 6 to 7:30. Yeah. And they're collecting feedback and suggestions. So, I think we can send that to you tonight. We can send that out just so that y'all can attend if you want. But you can join me. And that's the announcement that I had.
Do you have to like RSVP?
No. It's just a community meeting, public meeting. It's the ones, if you see them around town, it's like, I know that there's one at Taylor and Civic that's announcing it. Yeah, it's the Climate Action Plan. I think so it's called. Alrighty. I motion to adjourn.
The second.
second.
All right, let's go. 8:44. So thank you for your time today. Yeah, there was a lot of reverb from you, yeah.
Yeah.